Hi, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, you have my library update for 2023. Some things have changed significantly, but at the same time, a lot of things have stayed the same. So without further ado, let's take a look at the library. The first shelves that I'm going to start with are my, what I call collector shelves. Now, yes, a lot of these, especially on these top rows here, are Harry Potter related. The vast majority of these books and collectible items were purchased secondhand or from a non-official retailer. But I have the illustrated books there on the top along with the Armenian version. Then we have the house set and we have a regular American set here. I have a whole set that I bought secondhand to put on the, I forget what, Nerdy Ink covers. Then we have the paperback version of the American books. Then we have the illustrated books and several other books in Spanish. We have the UK version here, although some of those are Canadian. We have the house set here. I forgot, this house set is actually in Spanish. Then we have several various books here where a secondhand, not secondhand retailer, but a fan retailer has alternate covers. I purchased the books secondhand to make them look like actual magical books. This shelf is the only shelf in my library that does not have any books on it. And then we get into other collectibles, and this is my classics section. So I went through a phase early on where I did not like dust jackets at all and decided to take them off and throw them away. Hence why these books right here and many on my nonfiction shelf don't have dust jackets. I don't know why I did that. But these are Barnes & Noble compilation sets for Jack London, Charles Dickens, Mark Twain, H.G. Wells. Then these books here are the more modern versions of some of their compilations. I always want to purchase more, but I can never remember which ones I have. Then starting here, I have their paperback editions of the classics going from, well, the Don Quixote goes with the Spanish version there, but starting from smallest, building up in size as we go around. It looks like those have fallen over. I need to pick those up. Then we have, when I got Owl Crate, they had some classic editions. Then we have the ones that are not Barnes & Noble editions. And then I have my various collections of Chronicles of Narnia. I'm working on expanding that collection. And then here we have my books in Spanish. This is some sort of decorative piece that I forgot what's in there. This is a book written by my friend. And then this is all that remains of my Christian fiction section. I used to have over 600 of these. Not so much anymore. Instead of continuing on in order like I thought I was going to, let's go over to my other collectible shelf. So here we have the shelf that is frequently behind me when filming. We have several special editions that are very important. Here on the top, we have first the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. Although actually that's just the box right here. The actual trilogy is right over here. Then we have the Legendborn, right now duology. I don't know how many are going to be in this set here. I took the dust jackets off. The dust jackets are normal, but these are just phenomenal. Then we have my Strange the Dreamer set and this cute little decorative lunchbox type piece that I got from Owl Crate, I think last year. This top shelf here is mostly Rick Riordan, all the way up until here when we have the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, which I have to admit, I've read only Daughter of Smoke and Bone a very long time ago. I need to read the rest. And then we also have the Hafsa Faizal, We Hunt the Flame, We Free the Stars set. The rest of this shelf is dedicated to all of my editions of Lord of the Rings. Also, LitJoy did a box dedicated to Lord of the Rings, and that's where a lot of these other pieces have come, except for the bowls. I think those were Fairy Loot. I don't remember which one it was. But we have the original right back here. This is not the exact set, but that is the edition that I first read Lord of the Rings in as a 7th grader. And then every time I come across Lord of the Rings editions, this was my first 3-in-1 set. It did get a little water damaged, unfortunately. Then we have the illustrated, the gorgeous illustrated editions here. These three right here. Inside here, I'm not going to open it up, but it's a set of gorgeous location pins. This is modeled after the One Ring. This is Sting. Then on this shelf, we have even more. We have There and Back Again, which was in that same LitJoy box, and one of my most prized editions. This is from approximately 12 years after it was published. I found it in a used bookstore. Was not intending to spend that much money, but I did. Then we have some of the extra books edited by Tolkien's son, and then we have the editions in Spanish. Finishing up here on this shelf, we have a few different reading journals and other notebooks that I've collected. All right, coming back over next to that collectible shelf, we have my nonfiction shelves. These go in order across, even though the shelves themselves are uneven. I start with American history and I go from earliest until more modern day, although I have some of the overall histories here at the beginning. So we get about to the start right before the Civil War here. This gets into the Civil War. This gets into just about starting World War II. Then we come through and we finish up with American history right around here. These books here are all former textbooks from my history degree, both undergrad and master's. I keep them for nostalgia purposes because that's who I am. Then we get into like world history, and I don't start the time one until right about here. These are more compilations. This is another former textbook. We have overall histories here, general ones. This I actually got from a history book subscription, my very first. I never did anything beyond these initial 4 because it was that intro where you could get $1. And then we start to go in order, and I have some of the earliest ones I have to do with the Roman Empire, which again I took a class on. Then we come into, we have Renaissance. A lot of these are like these 3 right here are all former textbooks. Then I have an entire section dedicated to books on the Armenian genocide, and they are here because it's around World War I time. This gets into approximately that time, although some of these books have some overlap. My best nonfiction book of the year right here. Then we get into some of the in-between, and then leading into World War II, and then post-World War II. I don't have as much straight history books, as you can see. And then we get into biography. And biography, I tried to structure them from earliest lived until latest. This is a masterpiece, even though I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the man himself. But we continue on in biographies. Biographies finish about here, and then we start memoirs. And I do not have those arranged in any particular way, but this section is all memoirs. And I did not continue the across both shelves because memoirs go from here down to here. These are some of my more recent ones. I did group them roughly together. These are female focused, celebrity here. Here we have politically related, and here we have running related. On this last section, these are all of my, you could call them miscellaneous nonfiction books that don't necessarily fit as history. Like one of my top 5 nonfiction books this year. This is more sciencey. A lot of these are actually sciencey. Moving to my middle grades shelf. This shelf has been updated because I need more room. My goal with this top shelf here is to have this start my Rick Riordan imprints section. So that is through this section here. These are, I just realized these are not alphabetically. I need to move this one. Mostly they're alphabetically, except for this one is out of order. So they're going to go alphabetically in this section. I do have a Rick Riordan imprints project coming up, but I have not filmed that video yet. Then we start moving alphabetically. So here is another book that is going to be on a top 10 list. Can't really see it all that well, but that is Ivelisse Explains It All. I'll talk more about that in that video. Then we come down here. There are a lot of new books to me this year. This section has expanded significantly. Then we have obviously my Keeper of the Lost Cities section. I just realized here that I am missing book 7, which needs to go here. We have my Anne of Green Gables set. Love that story. Come down into here. No, I do not have all of a series of unfortunate events. I'm okay with that. And then there was not quite enough room. I try to keep series together, but you'll notice that Hollowpox is actually down here. I ran out of room. Eventually, these will shift down here. Last year, this was all graphic novels, but you'll see where I've moved those next. As we move over from the middle grade shelf, this is my collectible shelf. Now we have my young adult shelf, and I've moved some of my display pieces up to the top here. These go in alphabetical order. I did have all of them together, but I was running out of room, so I separated out contemporary and historical fiction, which is a much smaller section. So this is fantasy and sci-fi, although sci-fi is a smaller portion. We have a few special editions here, like Silver in the Bone, gorgeous special edition here. We have the Hunger Games, fantastic series. We have another special edition with Twin Crowns, Gilded Edges. Coming down, we have the Luminaries. I'm not going to pull the books out on this shelf because for some reason it is uneven, hence all the books scooted towards the front. But I have my Once Upon a Broken Heart. As you can tell a little bit by the sprayed edges here, doesn't quite, this one is not a special edition, and I just realized I'm out of room and I need to put back A Curse for True Love, but I just read that, which is why it's not on this shelf. One Dark Window is a special edition. This I got at the Barnes & Noble sale last year, so it's a Barnes & Noble exclusive. These look a lot similar than I realized. Two special editions here. This one is absolutely gorgeous, but I'm not going to pull it out. Threads That Bind, I read that this year. This was my first special edition set, the Raybear Duology. Then we come down to this row. Together We Burn was my preferred book that I've read from Isabella Banez. Rust in the Root, fantastic book here. Not that many special editions on this particular shelf. The only one is this one here, These Drowned Woods. Coming down to the second to last shelf on this one, we have one special edition here with The Darkening, and I do have the sequel at a special edition. I love that. I actually read it as an ARC first. Then we have the Aragon. For a while, I was missing one of them. I forget which one, but I now have all four. Well, all four of the original series. Then we come down here. We have my second ever special edition set with the Arc of the Scythe series. I have turned these covers around. This was the first whole series that I purchased because of Goodreads, because Sky and the Storm was on the first year that I did the young adult section on there. We have another special edition of This Vicious Grace, another of An Arrow to the Moon. I really love this, and I'm hoping to read The Astonishing Color of After this coming year. And then, because I'm running out of room, I have started coming over onto this other shelf here, and I do have one special edition here, Song of Silver, Flame Like Night. All right, now I'm going to go to the top of this particular shelf here. This top of the shelf, we have some gifts from a former student of mine, something I bought in Ecuador, and then we get into adult fantasy. Last year, at this time, these top two shelves were dedicated to Brandon Sanderson and Robin Hobb. You'll see what has happened to those books soon. But I started to get way too many, running out of room. But these, again, go alphabetically. Some gorgeous editions that, because of this little lip here on the top, are sometimes difficult to get out. I have my Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi. I'm definitely going to need more room because I hopefully plan to finish up this series this year. I do have a special edition of Legends and Lattes. Some people did not like this special edition because of how holographic it was, but I really enjoyed it. Coming over, we have another special edition of Shanghai Immortal. Another top 10 book here, Goldsboro Shield Maiden. I have to remember to pay attention to make sure that the camera is showing them correctly. We have another special edition here of Immortal Longings and also The Sword Defiant. A variety of BookBox special editions here. Second row, in a place of prominence, one of the few books that is faced out on my shelf, we have Babel. Of course, gorgeous edition. I love this duology so much. We have Nettle and Bone hiding in here. Godkiller special edition here. I'm not so sure about the sequel to this. I'm probably going to read it, but I'm wondering about a sequel here. In the Lives of Puppets, I really enjoyed this one. This is, again, a special edition. Then we have my favorite series of all time right here, Discord of Gods. Not Discord of Gods, that's the 5th book. Chorus of Dragons is the name of the series. We have this special edition here. This one may end up getting on hold, but I'm going to reserve judgment until the sequel comes out. This one was a surprising read for me, Lost in Time by A.G. Riddle. It's more mystery than science fiction, so I'm keeping this one, but it is a Goldsboro special edition. Finishing up adult fantasy. Yes, technically I know that this is not adult, but it fit with this author here. All 3 of these are special editions. We have my Darker Shade of Magic series. Yes, I know this also is not adult, but it's the only non-adult V. Schwab that I have, so I put it here. We have my gorgeous Owl Crate Threads That Bind. I wish the interior of the book matched it a little bit better. We also have an Owl Crate special edition of one of the comics in the Villains series. We have book 1 of the Bone season. We have the entire trilogy of the Drowning Empire. I considered getting the special edition, but did not. The other special edition that I have, well, I actually have 2. Collarbound is Goldsboro, and I have special edition of the sequel, which I hope to read. This is book 1 in the Broken Binding edition of this series, Winnowing Flame trilogy. I hope to read the other 2 this year. So that right now is my adult fantasy section. It's going to grow. Then we get to another section that is sure to grow, and that is my adult fiction. We have contemporary, we have historical, a little bit of magical realism. This is also, as you can see here, where I'm putting all of my Book of the Month books that are not straight fantasy or nonfiction. These again go alphabetically from this to the Colson Whitehead book, and then my Book of the Month section also is alphabetically, but just for Book of the Month. Because I have so many Book of the Month books that are not fantasy, I know that this section is going to grow. And then the last section on this side is my young adult history, historical fiction, and contemporary. Obviously, in place of prominence, we have Firekeeper's Daughter. If I had more room on the shelf, I would also put Warrior Girl Unearthed out. Amazing, amazing book. Here on the end, we have my special editions of Elizabeth Acevedo books with Fire on High, Clap When You Land. These are just absolutely gorgeous. And obviously, I'm going to be running out of room, but I'll talk about that in a moment. Now to the newest additions to my library. It used to be that I had a reading chair here. That reading chair has now moved and I use it a lot more often. The first addition was this shelf here. This is my Brandon Sanderson shelf. That package is other decorations that I will be putting out eventually. Here on the top, we have various pieces from the year of Sanderson that I absolutely love. Obviously, Nightblood in a Place of Prominence, the Tensoon puppet that it's reversible. We have some coasters. We have a World Hoppers badge. It's phenomenal. On this top part, we have his middle grade series, the Alcatraz series that I finished last year. And then we have the Skyward series. This space here is for Defiant. I have that. I plan to read that this month. These are not YA or middle grade, but they didn't fit on the other shelves. And then here is Mbot, going with the Skyward series. Love that. Then on this next shelf, we have the Fairy Loot special editions of the Stormlight Archive books thus far. It probably will be a while before the 5th one comes out. Obviously, the 5th one comes out normally next December, which I will be purchasing. Then we come to the shelf where I have the UK editions of the Mistborn series. I do have enough room for when I get the Lost Metal in paperback. I need to get on that. I have the White Sand edition here because it doesn't fit anywhere else. These are the American versions in very floppy paperbacks. I have Elantris, and then these are the copies that I actually read of Stormlight Archive. And to finish that off, these are all of the secret projects with these special bookmarks that went along with it. Now you'll notice on this shelf, there's not extra room except for specific books. Defiant here and Lost Metal down here. The man writes many books. What am I going to do to fit the rest of it on there? I have no idea. Now my final shelf is the newest. This is not going to be entirely dedicated to Robin Hobb, but in a place of prominence, we have the illustrated editions of the first series, which they're absolutely gorgeous. I really want them to do illustrated editions, especially of the next. And then in order, we have the rest of the Realm of the Elderlings. This is the Robin Hobb shelf. The bottom two I'm probably going to reserve for my graphic novels and comics. These here are laid down only because they do not fit standing up. I have a full shelf of them here, partial shelf here. Room to grow. Not much room to grow otherwise. The very last shelf I'm going to save for its own video, my own TBR. That is this entire closet right in front of me. This one is getting its own video, and as you can see, I have some growth problems because I hope to put most of those on the rest of the shelves and keep that TBR closet pretty full. Thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one.